So anyways, which brings us back to relationships and the relationship of Yoshiki and Hikaru
Yes.
living their lives together as companions, compatriots. Greg, how are you enjoying The Summer Hikaru Died, episode 4?
I know you're enjoying it because you love animated cat stuff, and we get some of it at the beginning of this episode.
Sure, I guess. I just think that it's funny the way that cats are portrayed in Japanese really anything. It seems like cats are portrayed like dogs. Like they listen to their owners and like they're like companions. They'll walk and hang out with the owner. If my cat ever went outside, that cat would be fucking gone.
I have my own personal opinions about animals, which may or may not be a hot take, but we have a cat. We let our cat outside. When I tell it to come in, it comes in. It doesn't jump on my fucking shoulder and I walk to the grocery store
Like
with
a
it.
parrot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not that, but I mean, if you train the animal enough, even a cat can do it. Yeah, I mean, cats are a little bit more like free-spirited than dogs, but I mean, they'll still listen to you. You just got to do it right.
Apparently, I'm just a bad animal trainer, and that's okay with me.
All right.
So anyways.
Speaking of animals, we're going to go to the summer Hikaru died, episode 4. The episode starts with a suspicious sound and Hikaru exclaiming wildly.
Greg, it's called slurping and glurping. You're welcome.
Is that like gooning and cooming?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. But it's revealed that Hikaru is just feeding Menchi some pureed cat treats, and Menchi is lapping that shit up. Hikaru is like, oh shit, will you let me pet you now? And then he just fucking pokes Menchi, and Menchi walks away. And Yoshiki is like, well, that's not exactly how you pet a cat. Hikaru says that he's clueless about everything going on around him, like the other day with Yoshiki and the gross blob that comes out of him when he gets excited. And he wishes he could just stop doing that. Yoshiki thinks Hikaru is really trying to better himself, but then has a flash of Rei's conversation saying weird shit is happening all around the village. More symbolism of the cloud's shadow covering Yoshiki as he thinks about it. But then Hikaru is like, hey, look, Menchi's taking a shit. And it cuts to a scene of Menchi taking a shit.
Why did we need this? And why is it so well animated? What happened, guys?
Maybe it'll come back around like that really hot tree in the beginning.
The hot tree's in this episode.
I know, that's why I said it.
Okay.
Maybe next episode we'll just have a flashback to Menchi shitting. Who knows?
That tree is thick as fuck, by the way. That tree is unnecessarily
in more
hot.
ways than one, because it's a tree. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cuts to school,
Obviously,
and the
Greg,
kids are practicing the choir song, and there's only 2 more weeks until the big recital. And the teacher is like, man, fucking kids. Cuts to Asako and Yuki outside a convenience store, and Asako says that Takeshita from Class D said he wanted to tell her something. And Yuki is like, no shit. And Asako said he wanted to arm wrestle her in front of all the other boys in the class. And Yuki laughs, and Asako says she fucked him up. Yuki is like, well, gotta go. And she leaves.
What the fuck is this show, by the way? It's like that slice of life, like, hey, this kid asked me to hang out, and so I beat his ass in arm wrestling in front of all of his friends, and looks like I broke his arm.
Well, I mean, dude, she spiked that volleyball like into the fucking center of the earth.
Yeah. True.
Yuki is like, well, gotta go. And she leaves, but there's a train coming. And Asako cups her ear, and she hears a voice saying, it's coming. And Asako tells Yuki that she should avoid crossing the tracks today. And Yuki is like, damn, again? Well, your intuition is always right, so I'll take a detour. She takes a detour, and Asako looks at the tracks, and the voices are getting louder. And then she pops in her Apple AirPods and takes a detour herself. Cuts to Yoshiki and Hikaru hanging out in his room. And Yoshiki is like, hey, yo, you want to have dinner? And Hikaru is like, nah, we're having Hamburg steak tonight. And then they overhear Kaoru, which is Yoshiki's sister, arguing with Yoshiki's mom about wanting to wear a yukata. And their mom is like, we gotta ask Aunt Mikasa to adjust the length. And Kaoru is like, you fucking do it. And then his mom says, I'm not good at that shit.
Okay, real quick. The location of items in this house is weird to me. like, okay, if you look here, ladies and gentlemen, Yoshiki's sitting on the floor next to what looks like, I don't know, a Davenport. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's like a little cupboard or some organization tool, but it's in front of books. Like they never use those books, and you're gonna have to move the thing out of the way. And I was just like, that seems really annoying. Like the trash can's fine because it's trash can's easy to move, but why is that there? You know?
Yeah, that might have just been an animation error on their part. This room like looks like a very standard bedroom in Japan. Everything about the show, it's pretty much a glimpse into standard Japanese living.
It seems really cool.
It's quaint.
But that
cozy.
desk would make me angry because I need more space. I have too many monitors.
Yeah, if you went to Japan, you'd have to cut down. You're not fitting that shit.
How dare I? How dare I cut down?
Hikaru is like, what's up with Kaoru? And Yoshiki says she wants to wear a yukata to the summer festival. And Hikaru is like, oh shit, summer festival. Cuts to the summer festival with Yoshiki, Hikaru, and Kaoru. And Yoshiki is like, good thing you wore sneakers. And then a vendor lady tells Kaoru her yukata looks nice, but she's shy and doesn't say anything in response. Cuts to the village elders arguing about how it was a bad idea to put the Indos in charge, and Kohei, who is Hikaru's dad, died and left his son to shoulder the burden. And sure, Hikaru did return after missing for a whole week, but still, and he's sure that this all happened because the ritual failed. So now we know, as viewers, that Hikaru's dad did this ritual for the village, but his dad died. So next year, Hikaru had to do it as the next, as like his son, basically. But
the Indo family
we
next
also
in
know
line.
that Hikaru died. But obviously no one else knows Hikaru's dead except Yoshiki. So they were talking as if Hikaru is a real Hikaru and he succeeded in whatever this ritual was, which obviously he didn't. Kaoru gets some takoyaki for free from Mr. Kameyama, because kids eat free. And Yoshiki thanks him and is like, Kaoru, you thank him too. And she nervously says thanks. And then Yoshiki notices Mr. Kameyama is wearing a cross around his neck.
Real quick, this brings us back to all animation studios have now gotten on this fucking trend of making food look
Didn't
fucking
we talk about
delicious,
this?
dude.
Where like every anime now is just fucking, you gotta have high quality animations of food. It's like the new industry standard.
Like the takoyaki, big takoyaki in Japan was like, all right, if you fuck this up, we're pulling all funding.
Yeah, they're sponsored by takoyaki itself.
Yeah. The cross, by the way, I thought was pretty interesting later on in the episode. And them talking about this guy.
Yeah, they do talk about it a little bit more later on. Some other people pass by and are like, hey, that's the Tsujinaka family kids. And Kaoru still isn't going to school. And they say, what kind of mother lets that happen? But then Hikaru is like, hey, let's go eat some shaved ice. And Hikaru grabs Kaoru's hand and is like, let's go. And she looks relieved. And then they all walk hand in hand towards the shrine. Cuts back to the elders, and they say that Hikaru is still a high schooler and it was a heavy burden to carry. And even if they wanted to redo the ritual, only the men of the Indo family know how. And Kohei knew this would never last. Then it shows a scene of Tanaka overlapped with the elders talking. And they're like, let's say it did come down from the mountain. What can we do? One of the other dudes is like, does it even exist? And they're like, it's been bound to Kubitachi for over 300 years, and the people of this land are responsible for keeping it locked up for good. But at this rate, the whole village is in trouble, and it shows a scene of a moth dead inside of the ceiling light. They say they don't have much choice, and can they really trust Tanaka with a job like this? He doesn't even take off his fucking shoes when he enters. But then Tanaka rolls in and is like, hey now, look, I took my fucking shoes off. But he has a giant ass hole in one of his socks exposing his big toe. He sits down humming AKB48 and he's like, I can't believe you guys have kept this going on for 300 years. And they're like, an outsider might not understand, but it's important. And then Tanaka says she had a tough time too, and then rolls the shrunken head rock onto the table. He says it's powerful at warding spirits, and the Indos used it in their ritual. And with her in your pocket, that filthy mountain is accessible. And I just have a note here that says, now we have more insight into what Hikaru was doing when he died in episode 1 and what that rock actually is when they showed it in episode 1 inside of his backpack. Tanaka asks what this ritual is supposed to do anyway, and they said it's a ritual for the mountain god. And Tanaka is like, you guys busy with the ritual for the god and a festival for the people. They say these festivals are precious to them because they're a small village, and they even include Yoshiki's mom and others that were born outside of the village, and it's necessary to bring the village together. And Tanaka is like, is this festival for the mountain god too, I wonder? Tanaka says Kubitachi is technically attached to Kibogayama town, and there are other small communities in the area. And one of the dudes is like, sure was. And the others are like, hey, shut the fuck up. Tanaka says Kibogayama, Udekari, and Ashidori, and the other regions have churches, but Kubitachi only has the Nisayama Shrine and not a single church. And he's like, what exactly are you guys worshiping here? And quickly cuts to Hikaru. They say that the thing on the mountain isn't connected to their village. And the other dude is like, oh, Nonuki-sama? And they're like, hey, dude, I thought I told you to shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, how do you fuck up that bad when he's just like, you mean the thing we're worshiping? Like, oh, wait, my bad.
Yeah.
I've been drinking all day.
I had half
all
of a
night
beer. I'm blasted.
I'm fucking wasted. Sorry about that. I've been drinking since I was born. Also, literally, how do you fuck up the bag, dog? They're talking about the thing, and he's wondering why you guys have no churches and what's going on. And the guy's like, well, I mean, I really praise that demon that lives up there on the mountain.
Cuts to Hikaru reaching out to Yoshiki as they pass through the shrine gates. But then a barrier pops, and Tanaka's hamster starts screaming. And Tanaka says the barrier has been damaged. Cuts back to Hikaru, and he's like, oh, I bounced off. Then he tells Kaoru and Yoshiki, you guys go on ahead. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And Hikaru looks at his hand and the blob is exposed. And Hikaru is like, who put this here? What a pain, as his eyes glow red. Hikaru meets up with Yoshiki and he's got some shaved ice, and Hikaru asks where Kaoru is. And he said she went to go ask for money from their mom. And Hikaru is like, what kind of flavor is Blue Hawaii anyway? And Yoshiki says all their syrups are the exact same, as it cuts to Tanaka running around. And Yoshiki says just changing the color makes them taste different. Is this more symbolism like the fucking dragonflies that we talked about in like episode 1?
No.
Oh, it's not?
Not at all. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm fucking joking.
Okay.
I'm joking. I just had to say something obtuse, you know?
Hikaru is like, what about me? I look the same, but do I feel different to you? And Yoshiki is surprised as it shows a shot of Yoshiki's mom and Kaoru as Tanaka runs by. And Yoshiki is like, nah, no difference. And Yoshiki is like, you look happy to hear that. Cuts to Tanaka, who reaches into the shrine barrier, but then falls to his knees. And he's like, oh, it's somewhere around here. Back to Hikaru, and he asks Yoshiki if that's how he figured out he wasn't the real Hikaru. And he's like, nah, I found out when I saw Hikaru's dead body. It flashes back to when the elders were searching for Hikaru and stopped by Yoshiki's house to ask if they've seen Hikaru. And Yoshiki's mom is like, don't you even think about going out there to look. Yoshiki suits up anyway, and Kaoru is like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, just out for a walk.
I'm just going for a friendly stroll.
Yeah,
it's not
like
a big
in the
deal.
rain, in the downpour. And she's like, no, that's a lie. The kids need to stay here while the adults go search. And then Yoshiki leaves anyway. Cuts to the search scene from episode 1, and Yoshiki is evading the adults while searching for Hikaru. And he sees the hot tree again, but then finds Hikaru's body and says he's cold and not breathing, like stone.
Unlike the hot tree.
Yeah.
It's thick as
Yeah,
fuck,
oh,
dude.
that thing's breathing. all right.
Curvilicious, dude. God damn.
And his body is less damaged than he expected. And he's like, I wonder why. Oh, maybe because it's winter. I gotta hurry and tell someone. But then his vision starts to warp, and he opens his eyes, and he's back at home. Back to the present, he said he was in bed for a few days after that, and then that's when he saw Hikaru alive at the hospital. And there were a few other things off, but no one else would notice them. Hikaru was like, damn, that's crazy. I feel like I was already like this when you found me, but it took a few days to repair the body. And you've kept this secret for half a year? And Yoshiki is like, yeah, that's why I can't sleep. Goes into another flashback of real Hikaru and Yoshiki, and Yoshiki says he wants to leave. And Hikaru is like, why? Why you want to go to the city? And he's like, I hate the village. And why does everyone need to stick their noses in my family's business? And Hikaru is like, oh, your parents fight again? And Yoshiki is like, yeah, nothing new. And he knows the Yasaburos badmouth them. Real Hikaru says there was a big fight at the Yasaburos, and their family heir, Yusuke, was diseased. And Yoshiki is like, he wasn't diseased, he's gay. And Hikaru is like, oh, LGBT or something? And Yoshiki says he doesn't know, but this village is too small and there's no room to breathe. And Hikaru is like, well, stay at my place instead.
This basically just validates all of my opinions on this show, right? Like all of the things that I've said. Everyone's like, they're diseased. They're and he's like, no, dude, he's just gay. And then he's like, oh, well, yeah, what's that mean? And then the kids, like, they're casual about it because in real life, being casual about something like this is the way it's supposed to be. These are human beings we're talking about, people. It's not like they're an anomaly. And I've talked about it several times whenever we talk about the show. There are horror elements, there are thriller elements to the show, but at its core, it is just a story about two young adults trying to find their way in the world, and one of them having the change and trying to fit in still while people are being upset about their existence.
You're right.
How long do I continue to be right for until this show takes like the ultimate turn and like Hikaru just starts fucking murdering people?
That probably is going to happen, but I mean,
yeah,
you can still be gay and murder people, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Jeffrey Dahmer. You could still do that, and literally like that. I'm going to stan Yoshiki and Hikaru forever, and I'm gonna explain that the world is. I'm going to find a way to explain how the world is what's wrong with the relationship, not their relationship.
Cuts back to the present, and Yoshiki is like, why did you have to die on me? And Hikaru is like, I don't know what to say. I'll give you some space. But Yoshiki...
You have some time with your sad thoughts. I'm going to go eat this fucking ice cream somewhere else.
But Yoshiki grabs his shirt. Hikaru says he might not be able to replace him, but he'll always keep him safe. And if you need anything, I'll do whatever you ask, as Hikaru's eyes glow red. Cuts to the elders and Tanaka talking about the barrier, and they're like, man, fucking, why don't you just make a barrier around the whole fucking city? And Tanaka says, the barriers come with a price. Each one robs him of an internal organ, so he can't make very many. And this is how he works, since he doesn't have a sixth sense, and he hates the method his company recommends.
I wonder if the company's recommendation is like, hey, don't use your fucking organs, you idiot. We've got another system. We've made fake organs. You can use that. And then, like, he's like, no, I prefer the old-fashioned way of it taking my fucking liver and kidneys so I can't survive very long. That's why my skin's blotchy.
Like, I'm interested in what this company is. I'm interested in this recommended method, because you might be onto something where they're like, hey, it takes organs to make barriers. So, just use babies or something like that.
We've been working on these stem cells for a long time, and it's really helping the company create barriers. You don't have to use your organs. He's like, no, I'm doing it the old-fashioned way.
I like the pacing of this. I really like this show. I think it's very well written. I think it's very well paced. I think it's well animated. I don't think there's like really anything wrong with this show, because now when we first saw Tanaka, I'm like, why does he have a fucking weird ass bruise on his fucking neck? And it's probably like, oh, because he has fucking like half the organs of a normal person because he keeps making barriers.
Yeah. It's very interesting the way they're going about this story.
When he touched the barrier, it's like he fell down to his hands and knees, like in pain. So is that like he's like touching his own insides by touching the barrier, and that's why it's so intense?
I wonder, or because he's had to put up these barriers, he's had to get in touch with the like demonic side of things and had to like attach in that way. And then the barrier kind of reacts to him.
They're like, oh, okay, so it's here? And he says, well, it was here, and maybe the festival attracted it, and it likes crowded places, but I can't imagine how it maneuvered through the crowd unseen, and there's a possibility it morphed into something else as it shows a scene of Hikaru and Yoshiki.
Also, he talks about how large the monster is, and it's like him referencing the morphing into like any sort of human was just like he doesn't understand how it could possibly hide.
Yeah, this monster is probably like
10 feet tall,
the size of a king.
Yeah, size king. Nice, Greg.
Oh, okay.
Way to reference wieners.
Cuts to the train tracks, and the spirit that Asako heard starts to appear from behind the train gates. But then Ray just fucking smacks it and it disappears. And it flashes a quick scene of what I assume had to do with her husband. And she thinks that she hopes that Yoshiki is okay.
I thought the spirit was more invading her. That's what I thought, but...
Oh, I don't know. I just know she slapped the shit out of it and it disappeared.
I thought it was the snapping of like it entering her.
After credits roll, it shows real Hikaru going through the mountains. And he sees the hot tree and it's like, fuck yeah. But then slips. And that's how he gets injured. And he's like, damn, I'm going to die here, jerking off to a tree. And he apologizes to his dad for failing the Indo family duty. And he didn't want mom to suffer again and didn't want to make anyone sad. And if I die, Yoshiki will be alone. And then he sees the red dot and is like, is that Unuki-sama? And he reaches out and it takes a hold of his hand. And he says he needs someone to be by Yoshiki. And that's how the episode ends.
I feel like he slipped because he was like, ew, to the tree. I thoroughly enjoy this show. It is just strange enough to really get like you thinking about all of the things that you're watching. I like that about this show. And I like that solo camping is like the appetizer to get my brain juices flowing. So
did that scene scare you at the end?
No.
With the spirit?
No.
Oh, wow. That was probably the most horror we've seen out of this anime.
I mean, possibly, but I don't think that this anime is a horror. You ever watch Audition?
Yeah, we talked about this, where she turned some guy into a sleeping bag.
Yeah, but like it's the whole entire time you're just like watching a girl like exist in the world, and like you feel like there's something because it's unnerving, but it's not like it's terrifying. And then you get the jump scare of like the bag moving behind her, and you're like, oh fuck, what the fuck? And then you get like the horror aspects of it. This is much less than that. There's no like jump scares, so
okay,
less horror.
I felt an inkling of possibility of fear seeing that spirit behind the railway than I felt watching Uzumaki. So I don't know how.
I think it's just because it's well animated and there's a lot of like.
Oh yeah, I guess if that was animated in Uzumaki, it would have been like way shittier.
I feel like if the animation of this show was, if the studio that did this show did Uzumaki, like we'd have an actual Uzumaki.
Yeah.
Instead of what we got.
Oh, I heard that more of Junji Ito's stuff is being adapted into anime, by the way.
Yeah, I heard that too. And I'm not going to watch it. We'll do another episode where
I'll read along.
Yeah, and I'll just sit there with my sleeping bag over my head, scared to death.
Yeah, in front of your campfire stand that you purchased.
100%.
I'm not a big horror guy myself, but yeah, it does take like a bit to actually scare me. I feel like it has to, like, you have to lull me into like a false sense of security, not just for a second. Like, I have to be there for like fucking hours and just get like fully comfortable, and then you pull the rug out from under me.
I think now Yeah, I'm very similar. Trap was the one that I watched. The main actor in it, he was in 40 Days and 40 Nights, and then he was in the vampire movie where he's like an Alaskan miner or something like that. Josh Hartnett. He can never be a villain to me because I think he's fucking amazing as an actor. When he does like the villain stuff at the end of the movie and like goes crazy, it wasn't very thriller-esque to me. It was just like, it's supposed to be like horror to a certain extent, more thriller than horror, but I didn't really get scared.
Hmm.
But as a powerless child, I was like, oh, this is actually terrifying for a lot of different movies. I didn't watch The Goonies as a kid because like there's certain scenes that I didn't like, but like The Goonies as an adult is fucking amazing.
I know when they were when they were grilling that one kid and they put his hand in the blender and then he was just like, "Oh man, I like stole $1 out of my mom's purse when I was 4 years old," and then he was admitting all of his dirty laundry. I don't like hands in blenders or hands in garbage disposals or that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, that's body horror. I can't do that shit.
So you're not a Saw guy?
No. Oh no. Mm-mm. Alien usually pretty fucked up.
I don't mind Alien because it's like extraterrestrial.
I mean, when they explode out of people's chests, usually that's not great for me.
Like on Instagram, I see a lot of these, like those jump scare horror game ones. And like there's this one dude, bearded guy with like a bandana and his hood up all the time. He's the one that like basically comes up for all of these jump scare video games. I think it's a little different like when you're playing the game versus watching it, because I'm watching him play it and I just laugh and it's funny. But I remember when I played Fear for the first time back in
fuck Fear, man.
2005 or whenever the fuck that game came out. That scared me.
Nah, dude, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I played like 20 minutes of it and I'm like, I can't do it.
No, not only like they did a great job with that type of horror because like first person horror is something that's really hard to do in movies and in TV. And so when you have your character going through, it's like it's you going through these rooms, you're walking through, you're controlling the situation. And when you can't look away and you can't stop, holy fuck, dude. Fear was intense.
They're like events that you can't pass because like I think in the very beginning you get hit in the face with like a fucking 2x4 by like the main villain dude. And I remember when it happened, I got scared, but then I like reloaded the game and I'm like, how do I not get hit by this? And I like fucking clipped through. I did like a backflip and then stacked boxes and like jumped over to try to skip the scene completely. And it just like snapped me back to it and I got hit in the face anyway. Like all of the horror things that happen, I literally just like sprinted and like ran through them all. Like there were parts where like you would climb the ladder and your character, before it goes down the ladder, like you go up to the ladder, you press E or whatever, and then the character turns around and like walks down the ladder. I skipped all ladders. I literally just jumped. I just took like 90% damage and I just literally just ran full speed and jumped off of all the ladders just to skip all the scary scenes.
Literally, like there are certain horror games like I won't touch, Fear being one of them. But like Gears of War is not as scary for me because you are still a super soldier. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you are like a badass. And Fear, it was like you're a regular ass dude. Whether or not you are part of this special organization,
technically you're not a regular dude in Fear, but
everybody like in your unit is also going fucking ape shit and like getting wrecked just like you would. And the fact that you live through it is like, or live to a certain extent through it, was terrifying.
I remember playing BioShock for the first time.
BioShock,
when it first came out, like I didn't know what to. I didn't think it was going to be like a horror game. I thought it was going to be like an adventure under the sea, hang out and shit. But I remember when you actually first got down and the splicer lady and she was like rocking the crib or whatever, and then you like walk around the corner and she's gone, and then you look in the crib and it's just a gun inside of it. I was just like, oh damn. And then that one scene with the dude that was like the plastic surgeon or whatever, I'm like, holy shit, like fucking, this is a little, I mean, I didn't expect it.
They even have body horror in BioShock, like where you first get your, what is it? Not cryptids. What is it? When the lightning goes up your hand and like burns your hand and then like your hand reforms and you're just like, whoa, what the fuck, dude? Like,
but I love BioShock.
Holy.
The whole BioShock series, I like it.
When you beat the first Big Daddy boss, and then you come out the other side and you're like, okay, I've got a grasp on what this game is. Like, I'm kind of ready for the craziness that is this game. And then you go into the hospital area and you're like trying to find your way through. and then you go into a room, and then all the smoke hits you when you start to turn around. Like you look, you grab an item, smoke fucking goes through the room, and you're like, oh shit. And then you like get up and kind of turn back around, and there's just like that fucking dude right in your face. And you're
Yeah.
just like, ah, motherfucker. And you start blasting, right? That was when I was like, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Greg, how are you feeling about kaiju?